What are some natural ways to treat chronic pain?
Well, first of all, you have to look at the cause. Pain is a huge issue. It's one of the #1 issues people go to the doctor. So look at the cause and find the cause of your pain. And that cause then affects how you treat it. But let's take, for instance, the general category of inflammation. That is an underlying factor in many causes of pain. So if you look biochemically at the whole inflammatory process, it's really interesting. There's a molecule called NF-kappa B, and this is kind of like the conductor of an orchestra when it comes to conducting inflammation expression in the body. It actually tells your genes what to produce and express in regards to inflammation. And so there are different causes that can upregulate NF-kappa B, which then tells your genes to upregulate cytokine production and enzyme production that affects inflammation down the road. So you have a pathway of what are these causes? So things like dysbiosis or an imbalance in the bacteria in your gastrointestinal tract. Things like hormonal imbalance, having too much or too little of a hormone. Things like excess toxic exposure in the environment, or poor liver functioning, or too much stress, or nutritional deficiencies, or too much sugar. All these things can upregulate NF-kappa B, and when that's upregulated, it upregulates the expression of cytokines, of cyclooxygenase, of lipoxygenase, of tumor necrosis factor, of all these different things that eventually lead to inflammation. And so when one is then approaching inflammation, you look at, well, what are the things that modulate NF-kappa B? What are the things that modulate cyclooxygenase? What are things that modulate lipoxygenase? And medically speaking, aspirin affects cyclooxygenase and inhibits cyclooxygenase. Corticosteroids inhibit the pathway of arachidonic acid through cyclooxygenase to inflammation. They inhibit an enzyme called phospholipase A2. And interestingly enough, there are herbs, nutrients, supplements, modalities that affect those same pathways, although with less force and side effects. So NF-kappa B, what inhibits NF-kappa B or modulates it? Vitamin D inhibits that, and many people, especially in northern latitudes, are deficient in vitamin D. High doses of selenium and zinc can affect that. EPA and DHA, which are fatty acids found in fish oil, can affect NF-kappa B. Alpha-lipoic acid, and ALA, which is a fish oil, or which is an oil found in flax oil. Hops, which is an herb, can actually modulate NF-kappa B. Resveratrol, which is found in red wine or red grapes, can downregulate NF-kappa B, leading to less inflammation. Now, inflammation is a good thing. It's a normal thing your body makes, and so sometimes it's a good thing. It's needed for life. If you couldn't make inflammation, you'd have some issues. But the issue in chronic pain is long-term inflammatory production, and that's what's a problem, is long after the incident that originally caused the inflammation, it continued on. And so now let's look at those other cytokines and enzymes. What affects those? There are many herbs that have been shown very effective for pain and inflammation. Harpagophytum is one, which is called devil's claw. A willow bark is another one, and that's originally where aspirin came from. And there are actually head-to-head trials of willow bark with Vioxx, which is a COX-2 inhibitor medication, showing that willow bark was just as effective, safer, and cheaper. Now, incidentally, Vioxx has been taken off the market due to some side effect issues with cardiovascular disease. But the point is that herbs can be really effective. Another herb would be turmeric. Is decent anti-inflammatory, although you have to take a lot of it for it to be effective. Ginger is both a cyclooxygenase and lipoxygenase inhibitor, and ginger itself contains over 400 known chemicals, so it's a very complex herb, and many of those are anti-inflammatory. So it's not working as powerfully on one specific enzyme as, say, aspirin, but it's working on many different pathways. So it has more of a modulating effect. It's not going to turn off a system, but it's going to help downregulate pain and inflammation. And there's actually studies showing musculoskeletal pain, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, ginger helping that. And the list goes on of herbs, you know, garlic, onion, bromelain, which is an extract from pineapples. All these things have been shown to be helpful with pain and inflammation. And also, on that same biochemical pathway there, cold low-level laser has actually been shown to modulate that pathway to speed the cell through the healing process and get over that inflammatory expression. And the exciting thing about all these things I'm talking about is when NF-kappa B is stimulated and all these enzymes are stimulated that lead to pain, inflammation, that eventually lead to disease like cardiovascular disease, like depression, like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, that inflammatory process feeds back into the loop and actually stimulates NF-kappa B again. So once it gets going, it can't be this cycle, and so the idea is to break that cycle. You get a self-perpetuating cycle. And
but it can be broken.
But it can be broken,
right.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.